Good morning, and welcome to the RotoWire, a fantasy soccer show. I am Adam Zdroik, and I'm talking Leicester City, Nottingham for Showdown. I got up this morning, had no plans to, discuss this slate. I didn't really look at it yesterday, and then turns out this slate is the showdown of the week, not the Manchester Derby, not the North London Derby. This Monday night showdown between the 19th place team and the 20th place team. This is the showdown of the week, and all the slates are the same as Champions League six gamer tomorrow. So I figured I'd do a show here just to run through some things. Just as you always know, I am for the people, and boom, let's go. So Leicester City. I looked at the odds, some of the line movement at our site. It seemed to change overnight. Leicester City went from -130 to -145. Now I'm seeing -140, and then the other way, Nottingham Forest went +330 to +380. I don't know what happened overnight, but it seems like I also looked at the first manager to be sacked odds, and Brendan Rodgers, in some places, is no longer the favorite. Hasenhuttl, who lost at home against Everton over the weekend, is now the favorite at some places. I'm not sure what that means for this match, but uh, two of the top three managers to be sacked next are in this match. Steve Cooper against Brendan Rodgers. And we got Leicester City, 56% chance to win. Clean sheet. That's a high percentage for a clean sheet for Leicester City. I think they've allowed multiple goals in every game this season, but clean sheet percent, 34%. You got an implied goal total 1.89 to 1.11 for Nottingham Forest. And the lineups are, we'll see what happens. Leicester City, this is coming off the international break. We'll see what Brendan Rodgers wants to do. Jamie Vardy didn't start two matches just before the break. I believe like one was short rest, and then the other, Patson Daka, started. So we got that in there. We'll see what happens. Leicester City have, in the past, they've had three center backs. I'm not sure if they're going to do that just based off the center backs they have. Soyuncu hasn't played yet this season, in league play at least. So I got projected 4-1, 4-1. I think Ndidi will be ready. He's obviously an important piece to their midfield. But as usual, like, we're going to have Dewsbury Hall, we're going to have Maddison, Tielemans, Barnes. Those guys are in there. Fullbacks, really don't ever want to play them, but it's a showdown, so got to be considered. For Nottingham Forest, everyone knows, they've transferred in 21 new players, so we could see some rotation out of the break. We saw a bit of rotation in Saturday's matches. It just seemed like some of the guys who played over the international break were swapped out, and we saw a few changes, which made things a bit more difficult than usual on Saturday. So one thing I'm keeping my eye on is the Steve McKenna status. It doesn't seem like he's going to start, but who knows, really. They said it was a late test 2 days ago. Steve McKenna has started every match for him. The replacement is Willie Boley, but they also have Steve Cook and Joe Worrell. So we'll see what happens with that situation. But I think if McKenna's out, that's clearly not a good thing. A guy who started in every match for him, even though they haven't had the most success. We'll see if Lingard's in there, kind of a thing. Otherwise, Nico Williams, Raynon Lodi, seems like those guys are going to be on the wing. Awani, Brent Johnson, Gibbs-White as usual. So not a ton of, I don't know. We'll see. These teams are at the bottom of the table for the reason. We'll see what happens, what these managers have done over the last 2 weeks. I think a lot of this match, so I'm leaning Leicester in this one. I think this match is going to depend on the motivation of Leicester, how much they want to play for Brendan Rodgers. Like, do they still want Brendan Rodgers to be their manager? because if they continue playing like they have the previous 2 months, like a loss in this match is very possible. Even though Nottingham Forest, coming off back-to-back home losses against Fulham and Bournemouth. Yeah, they gave up 3 goals in the second half to Bournemouth, and they were at home. So there you go. So this one, I think it just comes down to how much these guys want to play for Brendan Rodgers. I mean, he's been there 4 years about, and they have quality. We know this. I mentioned that they're all attacking guys. Jamie Vardy's getting older, but I mean, last season he was still scoring pretty efficiently when on the field. So we'll see what happens with this. I think if Leicester come to play, they've had 2 weeks. If they want to play for Rodgers, I think this is a good spot for a bounce back, a win. Danny Ward is iffy, just in terms of his goalkeeping this season. It has been pretty. You got to think that Nottingham Forest has the goalkeeper edge in this spot, Dean Henderson. But let's get into it here. So cash games, pretty easy. Maybe not pretty easy, but just in terms of finding your captain, as you can see on this cheat sheet, rotowire.com/soccer trial, you can get this cheat sheet, free 10-day trial there, no credit card. But you can see the set pieces here. James Maddison. Everyone knows about James Maddison. If you play Premier League, DFS, you know about James Maddison. Sometimes he'll have an exclusive role. Usually he's going to have more set pieces than everyone on the team. I mean, you can see the numbers here, but really Dewsbury Hall had 9 in one match, and that was the match that Maddison missed. So Maddison, I mean, you look at the numbers. Leicester have had 2 set pieces in the last 2 matches, which is, I don't know, crazy. Crazy. Let me just pull up Maddison's numbers here. So 2 set pieces the last couple matches. They allowed 11 goals in away losses to Tottenham and Brighton. That is so bad there. But I mean, you look at that Tottenham match, that was incredibly up and down. Maddison finished with 34 points. He had a goal. His floor was 20 plus points. He took 7 shots. I mean, yeah, pretty incredible there. Just in terms of Leicester playing at home, it seems like they are a little better at home. So I guess that kind of goes for something. But I mean, they lost their last home match was a month ago. They lost 1-0 against Manchester United. Really should have gotten a point out of that one. If I'm being honest, they put it on there in the second half. But other losses at home, 2-1 against Southampton, and then the opener that was a draw, 2-2 draw against Brentford. But so Maddison, put a lock. You're either going to captain him, and he's going to be in your lineup. He should be 100% in cash games. Morgan Gibbs-White, almost the same situation. I mean, you see Nico Williams on here, but I mean, when was the last time Nico Williams? Man, I keep just scrolling and forwarding through, going to the other page. All right, I'll get here. All right, for some reason I'm having trouble scrolling here. I don't know. Monday morning, the computer doesn't want to. The computer does not want to help me here. I'm just gonna go in Nico Williams' profile, but he hasn't had a set piece in, I believe, since the first 3 matches here. So Nico Williams, 6 corners in a game against West Ham, 2 corners in a game against Everton. This was August 14th, August 20th. He doesn't have a corner in the last 4 matches. So I think that's pretty relevant. I mean, it's relevant because he's actually more expensive than Gibbs-White, but Gibbs-White has a better floor. I know Nico Williams still gets up the pitch a ton from his wing back role. Like you saw the game against Bournemouth, he had 10 crosses, but then I mean you saw the game against Fulham, 3 crosses, 5.9 floor points from him in that match. And Gibbs-White, who maybe he doesn't do as much from open play. In terms of crossing, but he's going to have the set pieces. I think it's pretty clear in cash games that you want to do Maddison captain, Nico Williams captain. The first build I had is kind of crazy. I kind of have a lot of Nottingham Forest guys because just in general, like these Leicester guys don't have good floors outside of Maddison. Maybe Dewsbury Hall will have some good games. He's very inconsistent in terms of fantasy. I mean, he has that one big match when Maddison didn't play because of set pieces, and he is an option. I mean, we look at not for captain though. I think there's only really two captain options in cash games, but like Tielemans at 8,400 is pretty high just for Tielemans. I mean, I think he has a better floor than Dewsbury Hall. Just Tielemans, I always say like he's a guy who loves taking shots from like 30 yards out. That resulted in a goal against Tottenham, but when those don't happen, what are you actually relying on for Tielemans? Maybe he'll get a set piece somewhere on the pitch. But Dewsbury Hall is 6,600. So, like, why are we spending on Tielemans when Dewsbury Hall is down here? So, but yeah, just all these Leicester guys like Vardy. We know Vardy, whoever starts for it, Iheanacho, Daka, those guys, goal or bust. Barnes, usually goal or bust. I mean, I could look at his numbers here, still 9,400. He hasn't surpassed 5.3 points last 3 games. Usually just not a guy who has a huge floor. Justin, Castagni, whoever starts at fullback, could be Luke Thomas. Unless they have 3 center backs, unless they're wing backs, there's no reason to play these Leicester guys. Though there's not a ton of options. So I shouldn't say there's no reason to play them, but just don't expect a ton of production from these guys. If you had to pick, I would say Justin is usually a better play. I like him a little more. He's been decent this season, but 6,000. I mean, is he worth it for 6,000? Whereas Luke Thomas is 4,800. Castagni is somewhere 6,200. Okay, so Castagni is more expensive than Justin, so I'd rather have Justin in this spot. For the goalkeepers, I don't know if this is a goalkeeper game for cash games here. So we got, where are we? Danny Ward 7,600 and Dean Henderson 5,400. There will be some Dean Henderson. I think I mentioned the last show I talked about West Ham, Wolverhampton. A bit different. The implied goal total was 2.4 or something like that. Kind of went as expected for the most part. And then this one's at 3. So Saramac, sometimes he likes going double goalkeeper. I don't think this is really a double goalkeeper situation in cash games, but you could go to Dean Henderson just in terms of him being a better goalkeeper than Danny Ward and him being cheaper. But otherwise, for cash games, I mean, you can go like if you put Maddison in and Gibbs-White, you still have a lot of room to go here. Like I made a team. I also threw in Nico Williams, ran on Lodi. So I got the wing backs in there for Nottingham Forest as well. And then you don't really have a ton else to do. So it's like the final 2 spots are, I don't know, Leicester center backs kind of thing, Nottingham Forest center backs. But I don't think it's the worst thing. I said this for the Wolves slate with Mateus Nunes and Ruben Neves. Unfortunately, Ruben Neves played center back in that match. But so like Ryan Yates, depends who starts really. Ryan Yates, Freuler is actually down here at 3,200. And Lewis O'Brien, 4,400. Ryan Yates, 4,600. These central midfielders are not terrible plays, especially against Leicester. I think this is going to be pretty up and down. Like, when was the last time we've seen Leicester just lock down a team defensively? I don't know, 3 years. It's been a while. So I mean, you got these central midfielders who do get up the field, and if this is an up and down match, they're going to have shots. They're going to have chances created, maybe even crosses. Ryan Yates last season had, I don't know, he probably had 10 goals and however many assists. He was pretty good for Forest last season. And then, I mean, whoever else starts in midfield, really. I like those guys are, what, 2K cheaper than 4K cheaper than Tielemans. I don't think that there's a huge difference between those guys. So, like, I don't hate the Nottingham Forest central midfielders. I mean, I have a team here, a cash team with 5 Nottingham Forest and 1 Leicester. Just doesn't feel right. So probably don't do that, but it's just really hard in Leicester showdowns. It's just because these guys don't have huge floors. But I mean, we don't need Nico Williams here. Like without the set pieces, I don't think we need him here. So what if we did Maddison, Gibbs-White? Still got Raynon Lodi in here. Let's get Dewsbury Hall instead of Nico Williams. So we have more room to work if you don't want like the central Nottingham Forest midfielders. Like you could get. I mean, it is kind of ugly here. It just man, just playing Leicester Showdowns is just ugly in general here. So like we do not want to spend 8,400 on Tielemans in cash games, but what else are you gonna get? I guess. I mean, you could do the fullback route, go with the Leicester fullbacks instead of the Nottingham Forest central midfielders. So there you go. Okay, there's just cash look. I mean, we got the captains out of the way, and I mean, really in tournaments, the captains aren't going to be that different. Those two guys are going to be the most popular again. And, well, I think it happened on Saturday's slate. So, different match, 2-0 for West Ham. I think the Bowen lineup took the main contest because Bowen tore it up. I think he got a goal. I don't know where he was at, 20 plus points. And I think the Bowen captain lineup beat out the Fabianski lineup. So, I'll get into a goalkeeper captain lineup. I don't think we can completely ignore it. I mean, this is a spot where people ignore the goalkeeper captain lineup, and that's kind of when it hits. I want to say that just happened in this Aston Villa Leeds match. I think that one wasn't too surprising to be scoreless just because of the way Aston Villa play. They've really been limiting teams, and that one turned into scoreless draw. A lot of people thought that was going to be higher scoring. Can the same thing happen in this one? Maybe not as likely, but it can happen. It can happen. Implied goal total of 3 on this one. Goalkeepers will not be popular. So, but I mean, you look at the prices with the goalkeepers, and what is Danny Ward actually helping you with for a captain? 11.4K. I mean, that's kind of expensive for Danny Ward. That's kind of expensive. He's allowed 11 goals in the last 2 matches, doesn't have more than 5 fantasy points in a game this season. So that is kind of tough. Like, why do we need to captain Danny Ward? Are we actually expecting him to make multiple saves to get a win and clean sheet? Maybe. On the other side of that, I think Dean Henderson makes more sense just in terms of winning a tournament because you can see a spot where Leicester don't score. You can see that spot, and maybe Nottingham Forest take things a little more defensive after allowing 3 goals to the other recently promoted teams. Maybe they take a more defensive approach. We've kind of seen that this season with Nottingham Forest. They do have some more defensive matches. Like they tried to get a draw against Tottenham. Didn't work for them. I mean, early in the season, like they had the Everton game, they beat West Ham 1-0. So you have, like, it's possible that you can get, even if they allow a goal, you can get 5 saves from Henderson. He's down here at 8,100 for a captain. And like, let's just do it right here. Let's do a Hendo captain, 8,100. You plug Maddison in. You want Gibbs-White in. I think all my lineups are going to have Maddison and Gibbs-White. Seems like, up and down match. Even if it's not up and down, it's going to be set pieces. Those guys should be pretty safe to get into their 10-point floors. I mean, I'd be surprised if either one were below 50% in tournaments. I mean, they're definitely going to be above 70% in cash games. They should be 80+%. So let's do this Hendo captain with Maddison, Gibbs-White. Let's just get, and then I mean, whoever starts up front. I don't really like using Iwani because he's not going to go 90. We saw him score against Fulham. He's still at 70 minutes and got 13 points. It's just really tough here. Let's see where Johnson's at. Brandon Johnson's only 6,400. He's more likely to go 90. So let's try and just so we got Hendo. We got Maddison, Gibbs-White. So maybe in this situation, Nottingham Forest score in the first 30 minutes. So we got Gibbs-White to Johnson goal. and then we're sitting on this winning clean sheet for Henderson. And you got Maddison. I mean, you want Tielemans for all the shots outside the box kind of a thing. And then with this lineup, you can decide if you want Dewsbury Hall to having the shots for Henderson, or you go with a clean sheet kind of a thing with Rain on Lodi, and then to get whatever he gets. So with the Henderson, obviously you're going to have more room to run because you're spending cheaper on him. So I think that is a route that won't be as popular as we've seen in prior showdowns. It's not going to be as popular. I say that, but I'm just thinking of the Manchester Derby when we had David De Gea like around 5% captain in one of the contests I played. I think it was a $12 single entry GPP, and the De Gea was 5%. So I mean, if you're going to captain De Gea, I guess you can captain Henderson. So maybe he's going to be a little more popular than I'm thinking. So, but yeah, I mean, let's just do. I haven't even talking about Vardy yet. Barnes. I don't think Barnes is going to be popular. Just what it was prices. So let's say this is a 3-2 match. Let me get some coffee while we're going through this one. Let's say there's goals in this match. Let's say this game is basically a repeat of how these teams have looked the past 2 months. Let's say nothing has changed. Both their defenses are still bad, but we're giving the edge to Leicester because they're playing at home. What if there's 3+ goals, 4+ goals? Maddison's going to be popular. Vardy, whoever's the striker, I think is going to be popular. Gibbs-White's going to be popular. How popular is Harvey Barnes going to be as a captain? But Harvey Barnes has as much upside as anyone on the slate. I mean, you look at his numbers. He hasn't done it this season, but we've seen matches where Barnes makes the score sheet 3 times, gets a goal, a couple assists, braces, gets an assist, whatever. So let's captain Harvey Barnes here. You're going to want Maddison in this situation. So you got Barnes captain, you got Maddison captain, and you got 25K about for 4 spots. If we're thinking goals, let's say Dewsbury Hall gets in on this one. Maybe a fullback also takes part in one. So yeah, let's put Justin in there. Can we still get Gibbs-White in this? Yeah, slightly. I think we're just there to where we have Gibbs-White, and then I guess we're stuck with some center backs. But hey, center back goals. Wout Face. I'm not sure how much Wout Face is getting up. He started one match for Leicester. He had a shot assisted compared to Johnny Evans, who is just not a guy who gets up on set pieces. So it looks like Wout Face is going to be the guy, the center back, to get up on set pieces. So I prefer, I think I'm saying his name correctly, by the way, Wout Face, the center back, new center back from Leicester who came over from the French league. But yeah, he's probably the center back I'd go to if you want to play for that center back goal kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of ways to go. Any of these guys, this is in cash games. You got your 2 set piece takers, pretty cut and dry right there, and then build around it. Tournaments, if you want goals, there's a ton of options. So with Leicester, you could really captain any of those 5 guys with Leicester: Barnes, Tielemans, Dewsbury Hall, Maddison, Vardy, or whoever starts up front. You can captain any of those guys. Probably not captaining any of the 4 defenders, not Ndidi. You don't want to captain those guys. With Nottingham Forest, just in terms of goalkeeper, sure, if you want to captain goalkeeper, as I said, could be a good strategy here. You're not going to captain the Nottingham Forest center backs. You could captain the central midfielders for Freuler, Yates, O'Brien, whoever starts. Let me just pull up what Yates did last season. Like, he does get forward. He had 8 goals last season. So he does get forward. He had an assist last match. He's taken 3 shots, at least 3 shots in 3 of his 5 appearances this season. So like, Yates is someone who can be captain. Lodi can be captain. Nico Williams can be captain. Gibbs-White, Awani, Johnson, Lingard, whoever starts up there. Those guys can all be captains. So you got a wide range to go of who your captain's going to be. You just got to build your lineup around that. Like with Barnes, you're going to want the other Leicester attacking pieces. You're going to want the guys who assist to him or the guys that he assists to. Like if you captain whoever you captain for Nottingham Forest, you're probably going to want Gibbs-White in that lineup. You could get both of the wing backs in there. Like if you captain Owani, if you captain Johnson, if you captain one of the strikers, you're basically getting Gibbs-White for set pieces. You're getting Lodi and you're getting Williams to cross and everything for him. So I'd say just play this one for 3-2 thriller, 3-1 thriller kind of a thing, or play it for the Dean Henderson, play it for low scoring. Again, this is 2 weeks off the international break. So there's a chance these managers play things a little different. There's been times where Leicester has surprised defensively when we didn't expect it. This isn't the same situation. They're sitting on a point at the bottom of the table, but I keep coming back to last year. Leicester beat up. They had some backups, I think Ndidi or whoever started on the back line. They beat Liverpool. I don't know if this is league play or cup play, but they beat basically Liverpool's first team squad 1-0. They got an early goal and kind of sat back the rest of the way. But I'm just saying there are times when, even though these backlines have been terrible, they've been the worst backlines in the league. There have been times where there's a reason to think that this can be lower scoring. Maybe I keep saying the same thing here, but they've had 2 weeks. These managers have 2 weeks. They know that they're both, on the hot seat to be fired. Are they going to want to keep doing what they've been doing? Do they want to keep going? Okay, let's just keep attacking. Let's keep opening up. And then they're at play for, another 3-2 loss, another game where they allow 4+ goals or something like that. Or do they want to switch it up? Do they want to play things slower and condense things a little bit more and not be as open in the back kind of a thing? That's very possible that could happen. So in that case, I do not want to captain Danny Ward. It just not feel like a good situation for that, but crazier things have happened. So I'm just trying to say both goalkeepers are in play for a captain. It is in play for a lower scoring match. While I'm not going to bet that, I think it's in play. And that's how you win DFS contests. That's how you win GPPs, is doing what the opposite of whatever everyone else thinks is going to happen. I'm getting a comment in here. Gooner saying over 2.5 goals and over 2.5 cards in this game. Yeah, why not? Public's going to be on the over and implied goal totals at 3. So if you want to win some tournaments, play for a lower scoring match. You're going to have less competition to win those lineups. So that's my advice. I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet for tournaments, but maybe I'll listen back to this and see if I can decipher anything from what I've said. But hey, we got a Champions League show. Me and Luis Pacheco will be on in about an hour, so check that out. We're talking Tuesdays, 6-game slate at Champions League at DraftKings, not at Champions League. But yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back in a little bit. Thanks for watching this. We got a bunch of content coming out this week with Champions League, so hopefully I can keep my voice here. I got to rest up, and I guess I got to do some Champions League setting. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you later.